It is Sunday, October 12th, right around 1 o'clock Central Time here in Nashville, and Penn State has fired James Franklin. This was something that you thought could be in the works. Personally, I'm surprised it happened as quickly as it did, but it might as well have been right now when it comes to the situation Penn State is in currently. We'll break all that down. I'll give you just what I'm thinking about in terms of who could be Penn State's next head coach, who I would go after. I got one name for you, but we'll react on the front end to this news about James Franklin out at Penn State. Make sure you're locked in here. If you're a college football sicko, if you're a Penn State fan, we're going to be talking about this vacancy here going forward. We'll be talking about what Penn State is here going forward and all that, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. Instagram, Twitter, at JD PicKell. Follow me there. Let me know who you want to be the next head man in Happy Valley. So here's my thought, getting ready to react to like the Northwestern loss on our Sunday sprint we do here in our studio at On3HQ. Processes are perfectly designed to get the results they produce. And a big narrative coming into this Northwestern loss for Penn State was, hey, we're not changing anything. We're all good. We just got to kind of get ourselves right emotionally and kind of correct things internally. But our process, it's good. It's good. And the thing with Penn State firing James Franklin, the reason why it makes sense to me is it became pretty evident, especially after yesterday's loss, this thing was never going to end in a situation where both parties were happy. Like, it reminded me a lot of that couple that you know that's always happy, been dating for a long time, always like happy enough in any given year, but it was never going to end in marriage, never going to end in a ring, right? Hey, we're good. I'll have a couple of fights here and there. But overall, like for the most part, pretty good, right? But these last couple of games, the UCLA loss, the Northwestern loss, the Oregon loss was one thing, and that was tough. But it kind of felt familiar if you're a Penn State fan. But to respond the way they had responded to that Oregon loss, to me says a lot about what was going on internally at Penn State. Now, I am on the outside looking in. I don't have any intel as to the feeling in that locker room or the way that James Franklin was perceived by players, any of that. Don't have any intel. But I can tell you one thing, the way that they responded to that Oregon loss by losing to a UCLA team they have no business losing to, but losing to Northwestern, same deal, that to me says a lot about the changes that weren't happening internally. And I think it got to a point now in State College where it wasn't good for anybody to continue down this road. Like, say what you want about Penn State and their demands when it comes to what they get from an on-field product, which is 110% fair based on the roster they had, the guys they brought back, all that is true. But this wasn't good for James Franklin going forward. It wasn't. Like, you go look across social media, the way that fans were responding to him, and I understand the way that the fans were upset, but, like, it's at a certain point in time, like, it reaches a toxic boiling point where it wasn't going to be a thing where James Franklin long-term, I have to believe, would have been happy in Happy Valley. He got asked a couple of times during the press conference post-game last night where they're saying, hey, do you want to be the head coach here at Penn State? Is it good for you to be the head coach here at Penn State? Paraphrasing, that was the essential question that was posed to him multiple times, and he was pretty clearly dodging that, saying, I'm committed to the guys in our locker room, I'm committed to this team, committed to those guys, but never definitively said, yes, it's best for me and my career to be here at Penn State. And I think this decision today, as much as it probably is not James Franklin's first choice, I think long-term this wasn't going to be something that benefited either party. Neither party was going to reach what they ultimately wanted to reach, which was a national championship. And also, to make matters worse here, my thought if I'm a Penn State fan is like, hey, why are we getting passed by teams? Why is Indiana getting the win that we haven't been able to get for the longest time? Their head coach is in year 2. Hey, why is Dan Lanning, his first year in the conference, able to go win the Big Ten? Why can't we get back to that mountaintop routinely? I understand James Franklin won the Big Ten before, but it feels like a very, very long time ago, especially today with Penn State parting ways. Now, that buyout, the timeline is interesting as to, getting the contract extension. Not all that long ago, and then now looks like he's going to be owed right around $49 million when it comes to that buyout. It wasn't going to drop all that much here going forward. This is kind of a rip the Band-Aid off situation for Penn State. So my take on this is, again, best for both parties probably, as much as it feels ugly and it was supposed to be a year now. You're going to make a run at a national championship. That obviously is not the case anymore. My take on this is, when it comes to who you could target going forward, Here's all I'll say. I'm a little bit biased, having been in his locker room and been on his football team for a cup of coffee. Matt Rule majors in substance. Matt Rule majors in getting the most out of lesser rosters. Now, can he do it with more ingredients like a place like Penn State with more resources? I don't know. Would he ever leave Nebraska? I don't know, but that's a guy who played at Penn State, a guy who I think gets Penn State. Not saying James Franklin didn't, but didn't to the degree where they weren't able to accomplish all their goals. Matt Rule, I have no idea what the smoke would or wouldn't be around him. By the time you see this video, there may already be a report out there from somebody that knows more than me saying Matt Rule is not taking this job. Penn State's not interested in him taking the job. But as it stands right now at 1:09 Central Time here in Nashville, that would be the one person that comes to mind that would make sense from a fit perspective, from a do more with less perspective, and a proven winner. I will say this. I don't think Penn State's in a spot now where they go hire that young hotshot coordinator, take a big swing on an up-and-comer. Why? Because you're Penn freaking State. You don't have to. You don't have to. That logo, that place, that brand, it demands more than what they've gotten. They don't have to risk it for the biscuit on some up-and-comer. Now, what's the market like for them remains to be seen. But just because there's not a name out there right now that's a free agent doesn't mean that Penn State can't and potentially won't swing big to go get somebody. The financial part of this, I'm curious to see what comes out after the fact when it comes to what they can do with this buyout and what they have to work with. But again, James Franklin out at Penn State, as much as it hurts now, this wasn't going to be best for anybody going forward. And I think yesterday, the last 3 games really kind of proved that to be the case. Make sure you're subscribed. Let me know in the comment section who you think will be the next man at Penn State. But we appreciate y'all being locked in. Appreciate y'all making this show what it is. We will keep this party rolling. Caden Smith, the ones and twos. We will see y'all next time.